guys enjoyed the last topic about importing files. So now that you know how to import your files, we'll move on to the next topic, which is creating a new composition. This is where things start getting a little bit interesting. Okay, so before I start, so composition, right? Let me just give you like a little bit of a breakdown the way I understand it, so maybe this will help you understand it better. So just imagine you have, let's say our parents, and they have kids, and of course all the kids are gonna be under the parent. So that's pretty much what composition is. So it's kind of the housing for all your whatever working files that you want to have. You want to do all your composition, sorry, do all your effects, all your editing, all your animation and all that. So it is inside the composition that you're able to do all that. So without a composition, there's really no way to kind of work in After Effects. So your composition is always everything. So you just always have that at the back of your mind. Okay, let's get it started. So for composition, you see this. Okay, before we even get onto the icon, you can always go to File, go to Composition right here. You see File, Edit Composition. Click on New Composition. When you click on New Composition, you get this big checkbox right here where you're able to now create the kind of composition that you want. And like I said, your composition is kind of like your housing. So this is where you get to tell After Effects, oh, I want my composition to be HD. I want my composition to be full HD. I want my composition to be 4K, 8K, however you want your composition to be. So this is where you determine what exactly that you want. And your composition name, of course, the default goes to comp 1, which you can always rename. Let me say Lanre is my composition name. And here you have some presets where you can choose some already made up preset in After Effects that you can use. But if you already know the exact numbers that you want, the dimensions that you want, you can easily just go to width and height and just type it there, and it works in pixels. So yeah, you can easily just pull whatever number. So right now it's set to default 1080 by 1350. If you're familiar with like how Instagram operates, this is also one of the aspect ratio that Instagram takes. So I think the reason why it's there because I worked with that last, which we can change. So let's change it to Full HD, for example. Full HD is 1920 by 1080p. So as you can see, and I can always lock my aspect ratio right here. If I lock it, if I change any number, it would kind of be able to compensate for the width, but they can never be on the same size anymore now. But if I unlock this, I pull one, let me unlock this, uncheck it. If I change it to any number, that would just be like work individually. So let's do it again. 1920 by 1080, and I can always lock it. So you can also always delete the composition right here. The preset. You can always delete the preset. Next is the aspect ratio. So aspect ratio is more of like, you see how in like Hollywood movies, you see how sometimes you see the black bar. So aspect ratio is that trying to find the simplest way I can break this down. Okay, say I have this paper, right? So the aspect ratio of this is more of like it's a landscape. Let's put it that way. But then at the same time, I can always change the aspect ratio to be something like this, which is gonna change. So if this was um 16 by 9, let's say, if I change it to this, I've changed the aspect ratio to 9 by 16. Does that kind of make sense? And which you can always go smaller. There's some aspect ratio where things just get all the way shrunk, really like thin lines, black lines, mostly with Hollywood movies. So yeah, so you have different like presets of the aspect ratio, but ideally I would advise you stick to square pixel, because that's kind of what gives you like that um full HD aspect ratio. So you want to keep that in mind. And don't get me wrong, or don't quote me wrong, you can always change your aspect ratio if you know what you're doing. And I think as time goes on, you would be able to know, depending on different case scenarios, you will know what exactly that you want to use as this aspect ratio. So let's go to the next thing, which is frame rate. And I think that's actually an interesting one. I honestly think frame rate should have its own topic on it, its own topic. But I'll just give you a little bit of a lowdown of what frame rate means. So frame rate, as you can see, I have my default here. It's 24 frames per second. So usually frame rates are read in per seconds, and what that means is, so when you take a photo, right? That's one frame, and with this saying 24 frames per second, it does mean that for me to have a second of a video, I have to take that same image 24 times. Does that make sense? Okay, let me drop the camera. So say in a video you see people like dancing, moving up and down, blah 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 blah, and I have the frame rate to be 24 frames. So if I'm gonna move from here to here in a second, I have to take this photo 24 times for it to be as smooth as possible. So I have to like 24 times to get a second. So that's how crazy our frame rate is. Well, like I said, frame rate is supposed to be a topic on its own, so let me not go too deep into frame rate. But the standard that, according to filmmaking scholars, the standard for a normal human movement is 24 frames per second. That's what the naked eye sees, as they say. So that's why you see back in the days with someone like Charlie Chaplin, if you're familiar with Charlie Chaplin, you see how like when he's moving, doing all his comedy, you see how like things are kind of like jerky in their movement. So what happened back in the days is they didn't know what frame rate exactly they should be shooting at. So then they used to shoot at 18 frames per second. So what that means is, if you were to shoot 18 frames per second, I said 24 frames makes your movement go smoothly, right? So if it's 18, so that means you're missing some frames. So that's the reason why it would cause the jerk. So you'll have your person like going like, there'll be a little bit of a jerk because he's missing some frames in it. And that also goes for stop motion. You see, like stop motion animation, that's kind of the idea. It's just because there are frames missing in the animation. That's why it kind of has that jerking movement to it. Like I said, frame rate is a whole topic of its own. So let's move on. So you go to resolution. So resolution is kind of like how clear you want, your composition to be while you're working. It doesn't mean that when you render your final project out, it doesn't mean that if you work in low quality, it doesn't mean that it's gonna come out as low res. So that's totally fine. So you can always work in full, you can always work in half, you can always work in third, and you can always work in quarter, and you can also customize your resolution. So while you probably be wondering, but why would I want to change from full to like quarter? So the reason why you want to do that is just because how much your computer can handle. So sometimes you have projects that are so heavy, so that's where changing the resolution does help you. I do that a lot. My computer is not the fastest, but me gets the job done. So yeah, and you have your time code, your start. However, like if you want it to start from 0 to, you understand what timing is. And duration is just basically how the duration of your timeline, I would say. Yeah, and you see this right here, background color. You can always change it to you can always change your background color to anything red. So right now it's on black. So now we already have the basics. The reason why I won't show you guys all the advanced and stuff is because, like I said, this is a basic class. So let us take it one step at a time. Once everybody gets the hang of this whole basic animation course, then we'll move on to like more advanced stuff. Are you with me? So anyways, I'll click OK. So you see when I click OK, you'll probably be like, whoa, Larry, I thought you said it's supposed to be black. Yeah, it's actually black. So what's happening right here is After Effects does give you kind of like an option to go either alpha or you choose a background color. So there's a button right here. You see it looks like this. If you click on it, voila, you have your black. And if you click it, it changes as well. So so what I'm gonna do right now is also go explain some other things about composition that you need to understand. So I'll delete the composition library. I just deleted it. Let us recreate it again. So another way that you can create a new composition, you see this icons right here. Anytime you see this, even if you, that's, oh god, one good thing again about After Effects or any Adobe products in general, if you don't know what a tool does, just use your mouse, hover on it, don't click it, just hover on it. You can see it tells me create a new composition, so it's telling me that's what it does. So if I click on it, you see it gives us the same box that we had earlier where we created new composition. And I know by now you already know how all this works. So we'll create line array again as our composition, then click OK. Voila, how easy was that? Trying to think what else should I tell you about compositions. Oh yeah, so I think this will also be another thing you want to learn. Try and start getting used to shortcuts. So for compositions, I deleted line again. So if because I'm so used to like using the shortcuts because of how long I've been using After Effects. So the shortcut for creating a composition is, if you're on the Mac, is Control N, and if you're on Windows is, sorry, my bad. If you're on Mac, it's Command N, but if you're on Windows, it's Control N. So as you can see, as soon as let me cancel it, I'll do this again, Command N, it pops up your composition library, and I click OK. Voila. So in your composition, now we now have our composition, right? Now we have this space to now add anything we want to add. So remember in the last class showed you how to import. So what do we do? Okay, I believe you got that right. So you double click, pick your file, don't forget. Oh, so one thing I also was gonna share with you guys is while you want to import your file, you also have the option right here down. You see import as. You can import as a footage, you can import as a project, and you can create a composition from whatever it is that you're importing. So if I click on that, okay, see, you already created a composition straight up using all the information that we have about that particular file. How dope is that? I'll delete that. Let's try that again. Double click, take it,
C4,
create
take 2.
composition,
Oh, hold on. Cut. My battery just.
composition. Okay, import it, right? Voila. So another shortcut that I want to like tell you before we call this a day is once you already have your composition that you're working with, a good way to edit your composition, like to bring it back up, is not the shortcut for that is not gonna be Command N. Command N is when you want to get started, or you're already working, you just want to make some modifications. Say for example you want to change the frame rate, for example you want to change the background color, you want to change the aspect ratio, what else is there, yeah, anything you want to change, the time. So what you want to do is Command K. Command K brings your composition back up. Okay, so that's it for composition. Don't forget, if you have any questions, I'm here. Just drop a comment below, and I'll be sure to answer your questions. So talk to me in the next class. Ciao ciao.